Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 So we are reading from the Transcendental Diary. You understand English too? You understand English?
She doesn't. She gets a translation from
Not very well.
You translate, okay. So we are here in Vrajendra, still in Vrajendra. After returning to his rooms, Srila Prabhupada decided to sit in his back garden. Last year, Davi Shaktidasi and Bhagavaji spent quite a lot of time visiting all the nurseries in Mathura district, planning the garden's layout and deciding on the types of flowers and bushes to be planted. Now it is flourishing nicely. A young kadama tree is a prominent feature. Various fragrant flowers and creepers abound. Large green banana trees lines the perimeter, and of course tulasi trees are in abundance. The 32-year-old devotee from England, Vrajendra Das, has been in charge of it since last May. Just a few days ago, under sudden inspiration, he did some major reconstructing of the garden. He put a stone bench against the back wall for Srila Prabhupada to sit on and covered it with a bamboo and thatch shelter. He also dug a huge crater in the center of the lawn and constructed a large circular concrete pound in it. He sculptured its outer edge to look like lotus flower petals and then placed an ornamental concrete fountain in its center. Capping in this a spout that looks like Lord Brahma's foreheads. Water shoots out the top from between the heads. He has painted the entire affair a very vivid pink. When Harikesh Swami first glanced out the back porch windows this morning and saw the pound, he was aghast. None of us were quite sure what Srila Prabhupada would think, so when he went out to sit in the garden's semi-conclusion, we were all a little timorous. Nonetheless, we put a comfortable cotton seat and bolsters on the bench and Srila Prabhupada relaxed beneath the straw shelter. He sent for Vrajendra and asked for the fountain to be turned on. As a stream of water shot 6 feet in the air and cascaded pleasantly into the pond, Prabhupada nodded approvingly. He laughed everything. Prabhupada greatly enjoyed the peaceful atmosphere and that there for quite some time. I provided a cooling breeze at his side with a peacock fan, which Vrajendra sat at his feet. Also known among the devotees as a bit of eccentric, Vrajendra is a quiet and well-spoken fellow, and Prabhupada warmed to him immediately. He thanked him for his work and chatted with him for a while. Vrajendra revealed that his great-grandfather was General Gardner, a famous personality in the British Raj. That prompted Srila Prabhupada to talk for a while about the British rule in India. He chuckled as he said that the British had ruled India for hundreds of years. Now I am an Indian and an Englishman is fanning me and giving me massage. He told us that during the time of the British Raj, the British and the Indians were not strictly segregated, and there was a certain amount of fraternization which often resulted in marriage. He explained that if a European married an Indian woman, the offspring were called Eurasians, and if an Englishman married an Indian, their products were called Anglo-Indians. There was a big Anglo-Indian community, and they were given good facilities by the Britishers for government jobs, railways. In railway, almost 10%, the driver, the guard, the ticket inspector, all means semi-important jobs, they were all given to these Anglo-Indians, because they were not very much educated. And officers, they were all Britishers, officers, secretaries. And Indians, they were accepted as clerks only, no officers. In military, Indian Sikhs and Gurkha, especially Sikhs, they were very valiant. Still they are valiant. They were given the post of captain, not general. General, all Englishmen. He said that the British spread the empire by dint of the bravery of the Sikhs and the Gurkhas and the mass martial race, the Jats. When Charanavina observed that the British lost everything because they didn't use it in Krishna service, Prabhupada nodded. Their bad policy that they wanted Indian for Britishers' benefit. That is not the duty of the government. Government should be for the welfare of the people. Then that government will continue. But they exploited the Indian people for the benefit of their own countrymen. That is the failure. That policy was not good. Therefore, they finished within 200 years. They began their rule in 1775, like that, and 1947, not even 200 years. Now, after losing India, they have no more British Empire, because they cannot maintain without Indian soldiers. Therefore, they voluntarily left. Charanavindam told Prabhupada that his grandfather was a captain, serving in India, Hong Kong and China, and his father is a retired Royal Navy commander. Nothing that they were all military men, Prabhupada asked him. Noting that they were all military men, Prabhupada asked him, "Your father is living? How does he like you have become Vaishnava?" At first, he would not even speak to me, Charanavindam said with a chuckle. Then I used to visit next door and my mother would come to see me. And then after a while he would talk to me from the other side and quickly used to go and see. I would sit down and I would not preach to him. I would just be social. Prabhupada smiled. After all, father and son affection, where it will go. Now he likes, Charanavindam continued. He says, "This is better what you are doing than all the other things you were doing." Prabhupada inquired what age Charanavindam's father was, and recalled that it had said that my grandfather was the same age as himself, he said, that all his disciples were the same age as his grandchildren. Their father may be my son's age, father, mother. My grandson is 32 years old. Granddaughter, she is also 25. She came to see me in Mayapur, so I was remembering just the other day. She was child and walking, catching my hand. Now she is mother of 2 children. Prabhupada seemed to really enjoy the pleasantry of this light talk and amenable atmosphere. He was relaxed and open. "So it is nice," he told Charanavindam, glancing around his garden. "When there is rain, I can lie down here. When it is raining, to lie down in a cottage like this is very pleasing. At least in this country. Tuck, 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 raining, not very forcibly. A little shower." Charanavindam smiled. "Shower, yes. Oh, it is very pleasing. So this place is very nice." Hearing Srila Prabhupada's praise and appreciation, Charanarvindam glowed with the satisfaction of knowing he had pleased his spiritual master. You like this? Oh yes, Prabhupada said with a smile. You have got idea. You have all done nice. He gave a little laugh. Nobody got this idea. You have done nice. Charanarvindam said he had wanted to make Srila Prabhupada a beautiful place, and in the future he would make a wonderful construction. But Prabhupada was already satisfied. He had only one suggestion. You can fix up a little fan, then this labor can be saved. He said a small table fan could be placed within the side of the bamboo frame, just above his head, as they are in Indian railways carriages. He liked the simplicity of the structure and suggested that, as many Indian villagers do, Charanarvindam could grow squash on the roof. Encouraging Charanarvindam to plant other vegetables in the garden, Srila Prabhupada glorified the simple self-sufficiency of country life. People used to live formally without any worries. Everything was so easily available, at least foodstuffs. They had no anxiety. They grow their own paddy from the field, milk, some vegetables. Those who are fish eaters, they have got small lake fish, whole family without any worry. Where I shall get money? How shall I get? How shall I eat? These things were absent, even the poor man. But it goes quite long. Charanarvindam, who was preaching in Africa last year, said that he had seen how, both here and in India, the villagers had no real connection to the politics of the cities. With their land and the cow, they survived regardless. Prabhupada agreed. If there is war, then they were not affected, and the soldiers would not bother the public. It is said during Mohammedan period, the soldiers of one party will ask the cultivator, where are the other soldiers gone? They would say, I have seen and they have gone this side. The cultivator is going on. The fighting is going on, but the cultivator is not affected. He is free. You fight between themselves, and whoever the victor is, I shall pay taxes. That's all. I have nothing to do with politics. Between two parties of kind or political, they may fight, citizens. They have nothing to do who is the victorious. And tax means, whatever I have grown, you take 1/4. No income tax, no sale tax, no this tax or that tax. I have not produced. I could not produce anything. Very simple. Soldiers, they were not paid. They were given land by the king. You enjoy this land without any price, but when there is fight, you have to come out. Fight is not going every day. It may take place after some years, so they are living peacefully. When Srila Prabhupada observed the year-old banana trees growing around the other edge of the garden, Charanarvindam said they would flower soon. Prabhupada tipped his head. So it is very pleasing spot. You have done nice. I am feeling nice. This simple statement made us feel completely satisfied. Your pleasure is our pleasure, I told him. So we have to finish because it goes on and on. It's a nice story. Also, Prabhupada was a Calcutta boy. He appreciated very much the simple life, Vrindavan life. So then we read Srimad Bhagavatam. That's our daily duty, to please Srila Prabhupada. And pleasing the spiritual master is the Saman Saktas of of spiritual life. You also understand Russian, so you want to translate into Russian. Verse 39 in the 16th chapter of the 6th canto, King Chitraketu meets the Lord. Kamadias tvai rachita, kamadias, also das ist noch ein Wort. Na parama rohanti yata karamba vijani, jnanatmanya gunamaye gunaganatosya dvaita karami. Good, then I'm reading also the translation. O Supreme Lord, if persons obsessed with material desires for sense gratification through material opulence worship you, who are the source of all knowledge and are transcendental to material qualities, they are not subject to material births, just as sterilized or fried seeds do not produce plants. Living entities are subjected to the repetition of birth and death because they are conditioned by material nature. But since you are transcendental, one who is inclined to associate with you in transcendence escapes the conditions of material nature. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 4.9, wherein the Lord says, Janma karma jamedi vyam evam yovetti tatvataha yaktva deham puna janma naiti mamiti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. If one simply engages in Krishna consciousness to understand Krishna, he surely becomes immune to the process of repeated birth and death. As clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita, Yaktva deham puna janma naiti mamiti sorjuna. Such a person, simply by engaging in Krishna consciousness or understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna becomes quite fit to return home back to Godhead. Even those who are obsessed with material desires may also come to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead, so steadily that they go back to Godhead. The fact is that if one comes to Krishna consciousness, also he may have many material desires, he becomes increasingly attracted to the lotus feet of Krishna through associating with the Supreme Lord by chanting his holy name. The Supreme Lord and his holy name are identical. Thus they becomes uninterested in attachment to material enjoyment. The perfection of life is to be uninterested in material enjoyment and interested in Krishna. If one comes to Krishna consciousness, somehow or other, even for material gain, the result is that he will be liberated. Kamat tveshat vayat sneyat. Whether for the satisfaction of material desires, because of the influence of envy, because of fear, because of affection, or because of any other reason. If one comes to Krishna, his life is successful. Kamaryastvai rachitana parama rohanti yata karamba vijani jnanatmanya gunamayi gunam kramatosyattvam tvacharami. O Supreme Lord, if persons obsessed by material desires for sense gratification through material opulence worship you, you are the source of all knowledge and are transcendental to material qualities. They are not subject to material rebirths, just as sterilized or fried seeds do not produce plants. Living entities are subjected to the repetition of birth and death because they are conditioned by material nature. But science, you are transcendental. One who is inclined to associate with you in transcendence escapes the conditions of material nature. So what is this? Hare Krishna. It's a normal day in the week, huh? So, Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Vijaya Srimad Bhakti Bhushan Swami Prabhu Samudaya Zavakta Vyara Vikara Bhakta Yesha Shakti Krishna Vikari Padayamati Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaur Bhakti Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Shakam Chaksham Tasmai Shri Guru Namaha. So this said here that even persons who are inclined in material desires for sense gratification, but somehow they worship Krishna through material opulence, then they are freed. They can become freed from the entanglement in the material life. So that this happened in India, that many very rich people, they know the art of worship, that their wealth will be maintained, and simultaneously that they get more direction to the Lord. It's a very slow process. So we are more in a faster process. For us, it is somehow recommended, as Srila Prabhupada said, give up material life immediately, join the Hare Krishna movement, be a devotee, chant Hare Krishna, and become free from the entanglement of material desires and material attachment. And this works. Everybody of us knows by his own life that it works. But nevertheless, sometimes it is so that there are still an amount of material desires in our heart, and somehow, some days we want to find ways to fulfill them. But from this point of spiritual knowledge, it makes no sense. And the association of the devotees, and by the association of the devotees, we will be strong enough to overcome these desires and understand really the meaning, what is transcendental and what is spiritual. And the easiest way to do so is to remember the Lord, His pastimes, and His instructions in the Bhagavad Gita. So in the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord is direct preaching. He is direct preaching to Arjuna, and instead of Arjunas, we are able to perceive these teachings also simultaneously. And so if you read the Bhagavad Gita and Krishna is speaking to us, then he is speaking direct even to us. So that is, and the good fortune of a devotee is to understand this and accept this. If Krishna says, give up all kind of dharmas, all kinds of activities. And dharma means mostly also good activities, spiritual, somehow religious activities. And just worship me and don't be afraid. So one can be afraid of material, social pressure if one is giving up his religious practice. So maybe our relatives are not pleased by it. But Krishna says, don't be afraid, I will protect you. So then we are really safe. So that means a sincere person person who is sincere expect also that the other one is sincere. So he is trusting the Lord. He says, okay, whatever will happen, if I trust in the Lord, I will be safe. That means to have faith, firm faith. There's a nice example in the Srimad Bhagavatam by the wives of the Brahmanas. So the wives of the Brahmanas, they were very much attached to Krishna. Krishna made a test. He sent his cowherd boys, they were out on the fields, and somehow, I don't know why, because in one sense it makes some sense. Normally Krishna has always prasad with him from his mother, and plenty of it. But somehow this day, they had not much to eat. So Krishna said to his boys, to his friends, go there. They are the Brahmanas. They are arranging for a yajna. Go there and ask them to get some food. And the boys, they went there and they were speaking to the Brahmanas. So what happened? The Brahmanas were so flabbergasted that they even speak a word. They said even no and even not even yes and not even no. They didn't say nothing. They were astonished. And how this possible? We are Brahmanas. So how is possible that this small Vaishya kids, they are coming and to ask for food? Vaishyas ask for food. It is incredible. So they couldn't even handle the situation. So and the boys went back to Krishna and told everything to Krishna, and Krishna said, okay, they go to the wives of the Brahmanas. So then the boys went to the wives, and the wives, as they heard, this will be, Krishna is asking through these little boys for some food. Immediately they surrendered. Immediately. So how is this possible? The big Brahmanas, they were worshipped the Supreme, the Absolute Truth. They refused if Krishna is asking. So that means they are somehow lost of good consciousness. They doesn't know. Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj is saying, poor fount of knowledge. If one worshipping something lower than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then it is called poor fount of knowledge. They are not well educated. But how it is possible that the wives, they are not inclined in sacrificial activities. They are just housewives. How it is possible that they are immediately surrendered to Krishna? Have you imagine? Can you imagine how this is possible? They are the Brahmanas, they are worshipped the Supreme Absolute Truth, and they are the housewives, they are always in the house. And somehow this is a point of astonishment. But Krishna makes this point. He making this by arranging this story, Krishna is making this point for our understanding. So there is a hint in the translation, and I think in the purport of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, it's called in the translation of this verse, because this part of the 10th canto is not translated by Srila Prabhupada anymore. It's somewhere around the 30 chapters. So yes, and Vishwanath, he says, so these housewives, they were buying vegetables on the marketplace of Vrajendra. So and there, they heard about the qualities of Krishna. They have never met Krishna. They only heard what the market tenders were speaking about the pastimes of the Lord. They heard some glimpses of it, and they heard, oh, this Krishna, he is very wonderful. He is the son of Vrajendra. So Maharaj is the king of the Vrindavan Bhajis, and he, at his old age, he and his wife, they became a young boy. And this young boy is so radiant. He has the blue skin, the long hairs, and he's always decorated with jewels and ornaments and so. And he is the, how to say, he's the chief of all the boys in Vrindavan, of all the cowboy boys. And even by his young age, he is going with the cows, First he had the cows, he was in charge for the cows, but now he's a little bit older, and Nana Maharaj trusted him, because he is such a good fellow. Nana Maharaj trusted him to go even with the cows. And he is doing a very good job. Not even that he is so radiant and so unbelievable beautiful. No, he's even a good fellow. He's even doing a very good job with the cows. So there is Krishna. It's called, everybody calls him Krishna because he's so attractive. So they heard this and they become firm faith in Krishna. You can't believe it. And immediately they took all the preparation for this yajna of the husbands and brought it to Krishna. And Krishna was so pleased with them. So this is, so one has no, there's no need of a big education. Just live a simple life, as Prabhupada said in this. Just live a simple village life. And don't be even inclined with politics. And nowadays in the democracy, everybody has to vote even about war. So we are all inclined with this war in Ukraine. Everybody is suffering, even mental suffering. We are in the Western world, we are not suffering by that the war is present here, but we are suffering mentally, and we have to pay and to do and so. So previous war was a battle between the strongest men. So they battled and then it was gone, and nobody was harmed. But nowadays, what is happening in Ukraine? The bombs are falling on the cities where the citizens are living, and the normal people are the most. They have to suffer the most by this way. So that is Kali Yuga. That's really Kali Yuga. So to come back to this story is really amazing. How so that there is nothing to say to study Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a spiritual master and to come firm faith and understanding the birth of the Lord. The Lord is avatari. He is Krishna is the son and substance of all the avatars. And he is Aja, he is also unborn. On the other hand, how it is called here that if one understands my birth and my appearance. So, but this is a part of the understanding that Krishna is Aja, unborn, and simultaneously he appears as an avatar in the material world to free conditioned souls from their material desires. So if one got really attachment to the pastime of the Lord, then one is so pleased in the heart that no other material desires are growing anymore. Because the Lord's presence in our consciousness, in our heart, that is the most satisfaction at all. And that we can see also in the gopis. And they are so satisfied to have the presence of the Lord, and they are so dedicated that even Krishna was surprised by it. So that is the reason why he came as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He wanted to experience how it is possible that these young girls, they were so attached to me. they are showing so much bhakti towards my personality. They were not even afraid of social pressure. So in India it is a no-go that a young lady is leaving the family. But Krishna was arranging it. Krishna left their gross bodies in the family, in the beds, and the relatives, they don't recognize that the person at all was with Krishna. They saw, oh, the body of my wife is here lying nearby in my bed, so everything is fine. But in the other part, by the story of the wives of the Brahmanas, Krishna said to them also, please go back to your family. They don't want to go back, but Krishna said, go back. There will be no harm from your husbands. They will accept you. No, everything is fine. And they trusted Krishna. They went immediately. They went back. And the husbands were very happy to see the wives again. And then they heard, they were instructed by the wives. Further on, the wives were the spiritual chiefs in the family, not the brahmanas anymore. So they got instructed by the wives, who is Krishna? What are the pastimes of Krishna? That Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appeared in Vrindavan, and they are a part of this pastimes. And then the brahmanas somehow, they regretted. They said, oh, we have done a great mistake. So they are regretful. And they want to go to see the Lord. But somehow they were so unfortunate that they didn't do it. They stayed at home because they were afraid that Kamsa did some harm against them because they accepted Krishna, they worshipped Krishna. So what kind of mood is this? No? So Krishna wants our unflinching belief and service. No? He was not even satisfied with Mother Yashoda, when Mother Yashoda was doing some houseworks while hosting him. So he became so upset that he was doing some of his pastimes, his snaudi pastimes. But he can do because he is the owner of everything. He is all the butter which is produced in Vrindavan is produced for him. But everybody is in sorts for him. And even all the other families, when they do their products, their milk products, and they produce their milk products, they are thinking on Krishna. So everything is for Krishna, for his pleasure. And this is the perfection of life. And everything else is illusion, everything else is Maya. So then, by hearing this story, one can understand how much oneself is still entangled with material affairs. So in the gopis, Krishna even said the same to the gopis as to the wives of the Brahmanas, because this story was earlier, the story of the wives of the Brahmanas. Go home, go to your families. But the gopis, they doesn't agree. They stayed with the Lord. And then the Lord accepted their service. So the wives of the Brahmanas, they were not yet in this range of spiritual love towards Krishna. They accepted Krishna. They had a deep affection, but it was not this stage of spiritual love which the gopis had. The gopis, they were even born with love to Krishna. Krishna said to them, you were even when you were take birth here, you were still in love with me. And still they became also tested by Krishna, because by the absence of Krishna, they were tested how much they could remember the pastimes of the Lord. They could take shelter of the Lord. And the Lord is always testing us also. Sometimes we are with full conviction doing our service, and the other times there are some thoughts in our mind and some disbeliefs and so on. So Krishna is always also testing us during our spiritual life on several occasions, several times and so on. How much we take shelter in Him, in His instructions, in His presence, in His presence in the holy name. How deep is our belief in the holy name? Krishna always wants to know. So did I get all the points? You are firm with the purpose? If one comes to Krishna consciousness somehow or other, even for material gain, the result is that he will be liberated. So this is the radiation of Krishna consciousness, the atomic radiation. If one comes in contact with this books, with this consciousness somehow or other, then there is a connection. And this connection will last. It will never be vanquished. Even as the Lord said, my devotee will never be vanquished. If you have somehow an inclination towards God, Krishna will fan it, and Krishna will increase it. Somehow he will appear in your life, somehow or other, so that you can become curious about him. So Krishna is doing wonderful things, wonderful miracles. It is not the miracles in the material world. In the material world there are sometimes some, in German we say Zauberer, some, how to say it in English?
Magician?
Huh?
Magician? Magic?
Magic, yeah, some magic. So, but if you see now with the modern internet, you can detach the magics, and somehow they have always a hidden flower in the backhand, so or they do some construction tricks that the chair is somehow not touching the ground or so on. That's all magical, and Prabhupada said this in the Bhagavatam. Krishna is doing not magical tricks. Krishna is doing wonderful things. He's arranging, so he can kill Agasura, he can kill the bull demon. And he's doing it by his strength, by his spiritual strength, by his consciousness. And if one is so nasty that he cannot surrender, Krishna is taking him part back in his body, like Shishupal. He's giving liberation. That's Krishna. Krishna is freeing us from the material bondage. So also the material bondage somehow is his extended energy, but Krishna wants us direct back to his eternal energy. And this is his reason why he is appearing in the material world. He wants to attract us, he wants to astonishing us. That we are saying, okay, what is the use of this material thing? This is temporary, that's nasty, makes no sense anymore. We want to have Krishna, we want to have the eternal, and we want to be with him. That is the inner meaning of Srimad Bhagavatam. And only by philosophy, it is not yet attractive. So it is for some intellectuals, maybe it is attractive to read how to say not the Brahma Sutra, the Vedanta Sutra. So the Vedanta Sutra, how Vyasadeva did. Vyasadeva is a high intellectual, so he did it. He mentioned it in his level, he mentioned the Vedanta Sutra, but somehow even he, by himself, he was dissatisfied. And he could not figure out why. And then his spiritual master appeared. Everybody needs a spiritual master. Even to counteract our own mind. and to show us what is devotion. And Narad Muni, he told him about devotional service. So, and then with the same action as before, that is one of Krishna's miracles. By the same activities, as you can become bound in material affairs, you can be freed in devotional service. And the only difference is that in the beginning is not our ego, in the beginning is Krishna. So I'm doing this for Krishna. So it is the same if these wives are on the marketplace in Vrindavan and somebody is speaking about Kamsa, and they say, oh, Kamsa, is nice, he's a great king. He's ruling the whole country and so on, and they become interested in this. So then it is they are damned. But no, they heard about Krishna. So that is the same in devotional service. If we are cooking in a hotel and cooking for big people in the material world, we are becoming a lot of karma. But if we are cooks in a Hare Krishna temple and we are cooking for the Lord, for the deities, we become free. And this is the same activity somehow by the bodily movings. It is the same activity. But there is a difference in consciousness. There is an evolution in consciousness. An artificial difference. Krishna is the difference. Krishna makes the difference. And here it is called even about the seeds. No? That is also, if you fry the seeds, they cannot grow anymore. Somehow, if you even digest the seeds, maybe they come out of your body again and they can grow. The plants can grow. But if you fry the seeds, and that has also a more healthy aspect. That means this has different aspects. So there are certain aromas, certain fragrance are revealed within the seeds. So they are becoming the substance, the tasty and digesting substance of the dish, of the food. And they are making certain aromas, even this important umami aroma, the aroma of roasting, the roasting aroma. And that is like this. There is no other kitchen of the world. That's the kitchen of the Lord. The Lord like this tasty, marvelous, unlimited aromas and so on. I have some restrictions to explain my thoughts in English. So limited. Material world, we are always limited. But by contact with the Lord, our spiritual qualities are becoming more and more predominant in our mind and in our heart. And that is the meaning of the Sankirtan movement. To attract the conditioned souls in the material world. So our activities should be, in this way, should be pleasing to us, the living entities. Now it's marathon time. We should come in the mood, or we can come in the mood of awakening the conditioned souls by pleasing activities, giving them knowledge, giving them guidance, good words, nice kirtans, superficial prasadam, which is so whenever we are producing something in a kitchen and offer it to the Lord, everybody else in the material world is attracted by it. Almost everybody. Some rare situation, there are some nasty guys who says, I don't like this. kind of flavor or so. That's very rare. Almost everybody is attracted by spiritual food. Even more as towards spiritual knowledge. Because the spiritual knowledge is in some way scratching the ego. So that some are immediately in the false, in their false consciousness, in the false ego, and they feel harmed or so on by spiritual knowledge. It can happen, very soon it can happen. But prasadam is pleasing almost everyone. Hare Krishna. Prabhu ki Jai. So, some comments? Yes?
In the beginning, you started by saying that those who join the Hare Krishna movement, they get purified, and that's how they advance. I was just talking to one girl the other day, and I heard this from many young people that they're very reluctant. They like the philosophy, they like chanting, but they're reluctant to especially join a religious movement or an institution. So how do we bring the same principle, but at the same time, how do we relate it to them that this is not the... I mean, they need association, but how can we penetrate their barrier that, okay, this is an institution and they don't want to come, so.
Maybe they need some time to fully surrender, but they are already on the path. They are already with Krishna in some way, and that will grow in their heart. It will grow by confidence and by time, by providence. Krishna often says by providence, but who is the providence? Krishna is the providence. So he will give them knowledge. What we can do is to make it, to make Krishna consciousness common sense. That's our duty. Prabhupada was often reaching on the level of common sense. So in India, Krishna consciousness is common sense. So that's our duty, to bring it back in society. To speak about Krishna. Like it was common sense on the marketplace in Vrindavan to speak about Krishna. Everybody was astonished what this young boy is able to do. And how he can fight with the biggest demons and is always successful. He's always the champion. Krishna is always the champion in every situation. So this is only possible for one person, for God himself. So, and as much as we are appreciating this and speaking about this and making this as a common theory amongst all the people in the world, that's our thing. As natural as possible, not artificial. We are not an artificial movement. No, that's natural to be austere. Only with austerity we can reach the highest understandings. That is the story of Brahma. But what happens with Brahma? He appeared there and he could not figure out who he is and what about all this is, that he is just, he was there on this lotus, he got conscious. So he was asking himself, what about this? And then he heard only 2 syllables. So, and what he did, he was following. Because these 2 syllables, they were spoken by a person. And he could understand there is another person. And that person is expecting something from us. For me, this person is, he could understand, I got an order. And immediately he surrendered to this order. And that is natural for the spiritual souls. But as much as the spiritual soul is inclined with material desires, as much this spiritual soul is not able to hear and to accept such an order. But for us, for you, as with an Indian body, it is natural to follow such an order. So give a good example, make this a common sense in human society. And then others will follow. All these material rules and regulations, they will vanish. Now, like Srimad Prabhupada said, so what is with the British? They made everything on a material platform, but it was not like, it was lasting only for 200 years. What was about the Roman Empire? It was about 300, 400 years. What about Alexander the Great? So on. What will be with the Americans? That will all vanquish, because they are so corrupted, this society is so deteriorated. But nevertheless, in between this society, there are real attempts towards spiritual understanding in America. So the movement started in America. Also, it was so corrupt. Even Prabhupada's time, so Prabhupada was in the Bowery. The Bowery was the most decorated place in whole New York. But nevertheless, this was the muddy where the lotus can grow. One has to come to a state of suffering until one can surrender. That's so in the material world. One has to come to a state of deep suffering. One has to feel the sufferings by bodily experience. And then one can maybe somehow, if one has got already in higher consciousness, then it will grow. Then one can surrender. Not everybody is intelligent enough to hear about Krishna and just to surrender, as these wives of the Brahmanas. They were very fortunate souls, exalted souls. Krishna posed these souls in this part of his pastimes. And the other parts, even much more elevated persons in spiritual understanding, were the gopis. And they were parted in another situation of the society of Vrindavan. They were the coward girls, and they had immediately, if they saw Krishna, they thought, this is my husband. I want to be with him. That's natural. And that is not coming, that's not a result of one step in Krishna consciousness. This is a result of unlimited steps in Krishna consciousness. That the spiritual soul is in such a stage that they immediately, if they see Krishna, even on a picture or hear a word from him, immediately attracted, and this attraction nothing can come between this attraction anymore. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada ki